do you have a can-do attitude? As we go up and down in the entrepreneurial roller coaster, especially in the tough market of healthcare, how are you as a leader be able to push through consistently and getting your company to the next level of scalability? Join us as we speak to Dr. Michael of his medical journey from where he had gone through as a fire rescuer through overcoming car accident and now finding a solution with hemp therapy to improve patient outcome of those who has COVID.
Healthcare entrepreneurs, are you ready to rewrite the rules for your business so you can have more time off, a great team, and more income while creating a positive social impact? Then you are in the right place. Welcome to The Provider's Edge. I'm your host, Sabrina Runbeck. I'm a provider, an international peak performance keynote speaker, and a best-selling author. Let's open the gateway to profitability for you today. My guests and I help healthcare entrepreneurs and startup founders like you break through barriers so you can control your business, control your life, and control your future. This is your defining moment to be a disruptor in healthcare. Welcome back, everyone. This is your host, Sabrina Runbeck. Today, we have Dr. Michael Steward here with us. And I'm so excited to bring you yet another innovative side of how we see healthcare differently, how we resolve patient illnesses, and then how do we really targeting our overall wellness. So Endourage is a hemp derivative company really focusing on generalized health. They have been gone through 4 phases of clinical trial of their proprietary formulation for patients with long COVID. And as the disease has been hitting all of us for the past 2.5 years, we wanted to get to a place where we don't have that both physical ailment plus the mental fear of still getting back to a place where we feel trapped. So I'm so excited to be here, and thank you for being here, Dr. Michael.
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate being here. As you mentioned, I'm Dr. Michael Steward. I'm the Chief Medical Officer at Endourage, which is actually spelled Endourage. So it's just Endourage. And we are a small biotech company focusing on hemp-derived therapeutics, and we make them for targeted formulations. Presently, I think probably what we'll mostly talk about here is the formulation that we have that has gone through a human phase 4 post-marketing clinical trial. And we attenuated 8 out of the 9 symptoms that we're looking for helping with long COVID. We'll talk about that a little bit. I got into medicine in a little bit of a roundabout way. I ran with fire rescue for 7 years. And then I ran with fire rescue for the first 2 years of medical school. So 5 years before medical school and during the first 2 years of medical school. So I had a little different introduction into medicine. The majority of what I did with fire rescue were medical calls or car accidents. We had a large stretch of Interstate 70, and I was in a mountain town, so we saw a lot of trauma as well as a lot of medical calls. But I really came from the you arrive, a car has rolled over and it's partly in a creek. You don't arrive on scene and go, oh, wait a minute, it's too tough. I got to go home and get somebody else to do that or another coat. You really have a can-do attitude when you're running with fire rescue. And I was board certified and trained in family practice, but during the latter portion of my residency, I started doing some HIV care because HIV had reared its head, and it was a new disease. It was something that we didn't know how to treat. And when I earnestly started treating HIV care, when I'd gotten out of residency and had my own practice, the protease inhibitors were already out in expanded access. So it had really changed the whole way that we were approaching this particular disease. And so very quickly, because the whole playing field of HIV care had changed and we had new medications that were out there that were actually working, really what happened is I became experienced in bringing novel therapies into clinical practice. And back then I was using some very toxic medications, and I was using them in combinations. They were new. They were not entirely safe. In fact, they were dangerous medications. And a lot of what I did was side effect management. But the very good news about those new medications was I wasn't doing infectious disease work anymore with HIV care. So these folks weren't getting sick with all the opportunistic infections, but I was chasing medications and medication reactions quite a bit. I also had the opportunity back when I was doing HIV care to write some letters of medical necessity for marijuana that had become legal in the state of Colorado where I was practicing. And I allowed my attorney to practice medicine at that point in time, unfortunately. And I didn't do that back then. I had a large office. We advertised as being gay and lesbian friendly. Amendment 2 had passed in the state of Colorado, allowing discrimination based on sexual orientation. And my attorney said, no way, you have too many red flags, stop it. But what I did notice about my folks that were using cannabis as an adjunctive therapy, number one, they did not like the prescription medications that I could prescribe, or medication at that point in time that I could really prescribe to help out with things. It just simply didn't work as well. And number two, even though at that time I kind of thought they were using this as an excuse to get high, medically they were doing really well. And I had a very large HIV practice. We had about 1,200 people we were following who were HIV positive. So we certainly had some numbers. And even though I wasn't keeping statistics on this, it was pretty clear to see that folks were doing well. And it was about a decade ago that I had an opportunity to make an investment into a medical marijuana facility in the state of California. And as I did my research, ultimately I became their medical director for a while until they went recreational. Then they didn't need a medical director. But what I found when I started studying cannabis and medicine was the endocannabinoid system. And it is truly an amazing system that has captured my attention. So the endocannabinoid system in our bodies, it's the master regulator. It helps bring us back into balance when we get out of balance. So it's responsible for homeostasis. If you think about a nice deer grazing in a field and a cougar comes by looking for lunch and the deer has to run away, if that deer finds another field, fairly quickly, 15 minutes or so, that deer will go back into its natural state of being and will be grazing in the field again. All that adrenaline and rush from having to run away from the cougar will be gone. And it's the endocannabinoid system that brings our body back into that balance. So it's a bidirectional system. If something needs to be brought up, it brings it up. If it needs to be toned down, it tones it down. And that way, it's much like a dimmer switch. In many ways, some of the ways in which we balance the endocannabinoid system can either act like nutrients or medications as well.
I was just thinking, especially as our audience are practitioners and those either also run their practices or have discoveries. So if you keep those in mind, what are things you feel like people just don't know, even from the healthcare community in itself, because you clearly have a environmental benefit for you in how to discover this pathway of what the benefits are. So think about the rest of us who are either in traditional medicine, right? That's in some part of the country, it just, as you're saying, almost considered recreational, versus the other part, people are very much knowing they have a great benefit from CBDs and hemp oils from different health benefit. So keeping that in mind, what do you think are some of the struggles when people being exposed to these ideas and then helping to spread the message of the benefit to their patients or people that they know of?
Oh, there's no question. We have $1 trillion industry out there that has had a 100-year head start, on us and trying to kind of keep this as a recreational play toy. But that's marijuana when it's being used to escape for things. We co-evolved with the cannabis plants, and we have 10,000 years of history with it being used medicinally. We also know, certainly at the CanMed conference 2 years ago when I was there, they did a nice presentation about the medicinal use of cannabis. And at that point in time, and things obviously change and not everything is 100% safe, but at that point in time, there had been no reported cases of cannabis use disorder in any person that was using cannabis medicinally. So the intention is very important in what we're talking about. And I am not talking about the marijuana people go buy and smoke. I'm talking about products that are clinician grade. All of our products are tested to make sure the plant material itself is clean and that it contains the chemistry that we're looking for. We only blend full plant medicines together. A lot of what the industry is doing out there is a lot of isolates. And in fact, the cannabinoid medication that I could prescribe when I was practicing HIV care was a synthetic THC product. So when we're talking about isolating out different parts and components like CBD or THC, we're not talking about whole plant medicine. We're talking about, things that have been changed through our own chemistry. The products that I'm talking about that I want to emphasize their medicinal use are the full cannabis plant medicine products. So we're keeping this plant the way Mother Nature made it at Endourage. And so it's not just the cannabinoids, it's not just CBD or THC, it's the combination of all of the different cannabinoids in there. In addition, there are terpenes. Those are the beautiful components that give us the aroma of the cannabis plant, and they have all sorts of medicinal qualities to them. There are also flavonoids in there. There are about 400 different components in the cannabis plant, and they act together synergistically. And so the sum of their actions, how they work, winds up being more effective than the sum of their actions. In this case, 2 + 2 is not 4, it's 6 or 8 or 12. And that's the entourage effect of the cannabis plant. We believe so strongly in the entourage effect, we just changed a letter to help support the endocannabinoid system that we balance with the entourage effect of the cannabis plant that we came up with the name Endourage. So we are very different from what you are talking about with people who are out there getting something from the dime store or the gas station. We are full plant medicine. We have proprietary extraction techniques that use a non-toxic solvent. We use ambient pressures and ambient temperatures in our extraction process. So the product that we have out there is different than other people's product, in that we have maintained those enzymes that Mother Nature put in the plant to begin with and didn't destroy them through high temperatures and pressures. We have a higher terpene concentration than most other people have with their medicinal hemp-based products. And we do the clinical studies to actually take the indication that we're looking for. We put our product into a human study and we tell people what our results are. We don't have that on every single product that we have out yet. We're a small company and it takes a while to get these studies done and some funding. But the beautiful thing is that we have a lot of information about cannabis and its constituents, a lot that comes from outside of the United States as well. And because we have such a long history with this plant, when we keep it as a full plant, it is safe, and we have 10,000 years to show it. And every year when, they come out and they tell us with the National Institute of Drug Abuse how abused marijuana is and what a terrible thing it is for our country, and yet nobody's died. Even though they're out there to promote those negative aspects of the plant, the negative aspects of safety they really can't harp on because the plant is so safe and we have so much history with it. So what we really offer over other medications, we have the same rigorous institutional review board that we have to go through to be able to put these clinical trials together in humans, as the other medications do. However, we are starting with a food and we are using it as a medicine. When we isolate out these single components of the plant and we use single molecule medicines like Marinol, which is synthetic THC, we're actually now starting with a poison or a toxin, and we now have to find the lethal dose. So it's a very different approach to things. Pharmaceutical companies with their isolates have to go through phase 1, 2, and 3 of testing to establish the safety of their products. And that normally takes many years and a lot of money. But because I'm already starting off enough with that safety done. In essence, phase 1, 2, and 3 are done for me in my trials. And because I'm not going after patents, I'm going after patient care. We're not trying to beat our competitors in a patent market. We're trying to beat them in the patient market. We're producing the products that are high quality. I don't have to worry about going after an investigational new drug application. The only thing that allows me to do is to patent my product and then present it directly to the public. This way, I can't patent my product, but I can present it to the providers out there, and that's what we're doing. We're marketing to providers right now with Formula C, the one that's gone through this clinical trial. We're marketing to the post-COVID care centers across the country, and they're starting to pick this up and to use it as well.
How many patients has been able to use your product so far?
I do not know how many orders have gone out right now. The numbers are still low. And so it's not, thousands of patients who have used our products. It's hundreds of patients at this point in time. And the beautiful thing about this, though, is once people get familiar with using this Formula C and how easy it is to use a hemp-based formulation, I think what they're going to recognize, and part of what I'm here to do is to teach as well. Most of my colleagues, myself included, did not learn about the endocannabinoid system in medical school. And the endocannabinoid system in long COVID is out of balance. And so any therapeutic that these folks at these post-COVID care centers are doing, and they're all helpful, but any therapeutic that they're doing, once we have a balanced endocannabinoid system, we're in the process of moving that direction, those therapies will be more effective. So we are an adjunctive therapy. We play fairly in the same sandbox with almost every other medication that's out there. And so you don't have to reach for this or that with our products. Our hemp-based formulations are adjunctive therapies to be added on to what you're doing. And the beautiful thing about these post-COVID care centers, they have waiting lists to get people in. And when we can move people through those centers in a more timely fashion, then less people are waiting longer periods of time to have their care and less people are suffering.
Right. And then have you guys seen how many days faster you can get people out of that sick state? Or have you been seeing a different way of measuring your outcome that you're focusing on?
Well, we found that people respond really quite quickly to Formula C. And generally, if you haven't had any response in a 2-week period of time, it either means you're not taking enough of it or it's not going to be effective for you. And again, that's why we work with practitioners, because anytime people are working with a practitioner and getting guidance, they do better. We found this with our studies as well. People who are hooked with a practitioner, regardless of what they're doing, they do better.
Right. And then this formulary is solely for people who have certain set of parameter or criteria, or you feel like anybody who has been diagnosed with COVID would be good to take as a supplement to shorten the gaps in how sick they would feel while they're having COVID. What are some of the parameter indications?
Right. And again, these hemp-based products are incredibly safe. So combining them with other medications generally is not an issue, although they are in the drug-drug interaction checkers. If you have any questions, you can always check. And again, I'm hoping we're talking to providers right now. I'm prohibited from recommending, advising, or prescribing cannabis because I am involved in its production. And it really is a good thing. I agree with that because I'm a hammer when it comes to cannabis and everything looks like a nail. So don't ask me if you should use our products, just ask me how. Because when our endocannabinoid systems are out of balance, we just don't do as well. And in low doses, coming across a phytocannabinoid, if you're cannabis naive, will upregulate your naturally occurring endocannabinoid receptors over about 72 hours. So when you start taking these products, what will happen over 72 hours is that your endocannabinoid system will become become more sensitive right in all the areas where your body believes it needs to be, because all we're doing is upregulating it. Now, if you need more than that, and there's a triad of migraine, headaches, fibromyalgia, and irritable bowel syndrome, a lot of those folks actually have an endocannabinoid deficiency, and 3 to 5 milligrams of a phytocannabinoid will make a world of difference in their lives. Now, if we want to use them as an anti-inflammatory or an anti-seizure medication, we have to go up higher in those doses. When people are using CBD isolates and isolates of other cannabinoids, they oftentimes are using hundreds of milligrams. Our full plant medicine dose is usually about 20 milligrams twice a day. And that's where people kind of wind up mostly. But there's a variability. Some people need very little when they just need to balance their system. And other people need a little bit more if they're using this as a medication. But these are very easy to dose. Generally, it's twice a day dosing. Our products are sublingual. They're under the tongue. They come in a bottle. They should be kept in a cool place. We recommend the refrigerator just because it's a cool place, but they can be out as long as they're not on the dashboard in the sun in your car. Those terpenes are volatile and they love to run away.
Yes. And then what I see is definitely is something you guys' unique ability is it's clinician based. So for them to have this higher quality and whole plant based hemp solution is something that they will get from the physician side instead of where they can just buy from a specialty store.
Right. We're designed to be able to be used in all different populations. So we print all of our test results on our website. We are third party tested. We use organically grown material. We are tested for residual solvents, which we don't have any because we don't use any that are bad, but pesticides, heavy metals, all the microbes. You obviously need to have the chemical composition there. So we list our phytocannabinoids and our terpenes on our certificate of analysis there as well. We are the cleanest products that I know how to make. And when we are compared to other products, we have always come out ahead.
Right. And from our physician colleagues, especially in business, something that you have to hear what Dr. Michael said really crucially is they know the result, right? They did clinical trials and understand it's a different phase of bringing to the public versus you go through the traditional clinical trial, which is every phase is at least $1 billion of investment going into. So understand what's the bigger outcome you want to produce is reaching out more patients versus having something patent and sell to the pharmaceutical company, right? There's a different way to create your mission and getting the result. It's just different pathway, different lengths of time, and it can be done in, you just needed to be very clear. And then something else they did well is because they understand the biggest output and result they're able to produce is shorten the duration of those patients who has long-term COVID. And therefore, you become changing your tactic in your business strategy to reach out to those long-term facilities who have these patients on wait list. So you become the ultimate solution instead of getting yourself so diluted in the market of just another wellness product based on whole hemp. Right. And even you can say we're the most clean ever, it's still going to be difficult in the market challenge of what it means for your specific value. So those things, keep those things in mind. It's not just about the product anymore. It's about who you wanted to reach, how you wanted to reach them, and fill this need that you can do. So you become the ultimate authority and solution in our space. I'm glad that we're able to have this chat. For those of you who are learning about new solutions for your patients, or learn about different businesses and how people can create and grow their healthcare entrepreneurial journey. And I'm sure everyone go check out Endourage. All right. And make sure you check out the website. And if you're interested, sign up to be a clinician, to be part of their journey and to serve more of your patients to get them to a better level of health and wellness and relieve their pains along the way. So I appreciate your time, Dr. Michael, for joining us today.
Thank you. I appreciate your time as well, and have a beautiful day.
Thank you for listening. Remember, the positive change we're seeking starts right here with me and you. If you are a fan of the show, or if you are just having struggles or success that you're either experienced in the past or are experiencing now in the healthcare industry, these matter to all of us. I want to hear from you. Visit sabrinarunbeck.com/connect and send me a direct message. Talk soon.